look into my life and pop culture vibes. Welcome to Amani's Vibe. That's the space that I provide. Yeah, at Amani's Vibe. Love Island, USA, and writing stories my own way. That's my Amani's Vibe.
Welcome back to Amani's Vibe. Love Island USA, Season 8, Episode 7. I decided to call Loose Lips Sink Ships, and that can be used as a metaphor, it can be figurative, or it can be exactly what was happening. Loose lips meaning just a lot of kissing. And also people not being able to hold any type of information in at all. People continuing to tell the men why they're vulnerable. I am not sure why, but that just seems to be a thing. So, if you saw my last video, I have renamed the three people. So Jen is Trixie, Soul is Pink, and Caleb is Cowboy. So Trixie, Pink, and Cowboy talk to the guys and the girls. Sincere is still speaking in metaphors and analogies. From first it was if you had the fish, and then now it's if you have a Christmas present and there's a present. Corbett, aka the Fonz, is like when he sees Caleb the cowboy, like when all the lights are on after all of the paint and the crawling on the bed sheets after that whole thing wears off. He's like, that's exactly Kenzie's type to a T. Pink, aka Soul, says that she would be interested in Casey, Sincere, and Corbett, and she's the only one that I was concerned about. Sorry, Jen, aka Trixie. The girls now are talking after the whole mattress thing, and they're trying to decipher who was kissing beside who in that big ass white bed. Zach seems to be having like, I don't know, like afterthoughts or things are coming to him later, which is what it's like for me with post-concussion syndrome. So, but Zach seems to be in the moment and then it's almost like he's affected later. But I think what happens that we don't see is that the guys talk to Zach about everything that's happening, and that's that is the edit that we don't see, and that's what always makes him change his mind about things, because all of a sudden he's thinking about Kata when she was kissing the cowboy. Anaya is still upset with Casey about the whole mattress thing. I just think Casey is so funny. He's still like one of my favorites. She's still upset with Casey, but can I also just say that Anaya is like the sweetest angry person ever? Yeah, like I was really upset today, and you could tell that Anaya, like she's just a sweetheart. She's soft, like she's just is, and that is her real personality. So even though she's upset, it's like she's a very calm, upset person. Then Pink kisses Gabriel. We already know Gabriel does one thing. He talks, he looks, and then he just wants to kiss people. When Pink finished kissing Gabriel and was wiping her mouth, did she say that he left residue? Well, she said she could feel his pheromones, which I think was a nice way of saying that she hated kissing him and that there was residue left on her mouth after because she was wiping her mouth. very like, yeah, get the kiss off me. So she was not feeling Gabrielle's kiss at all. Bryce and Trinity are literally, I have here in my notes, they are best girlfriends. They gossip together in bed and in the day. They gossip about Melanie, and they talk about Melanie kissing Corbett and Sincere, and Corbett and Sincere, which is what Melanie did, and it was completely whack, and she knew what she was doing. I mean, Sincere has a ponytail. If you feel the back of his neck, I can tell the difference in their hair. Like it's not rocket science. So she knew what she was doing. And also I call Bryce and Trinity best girlfriends because they do each other's nails and toes and stuff, and they're just so cute. So then Trixie, I have Bryce tells Trinity that he worked with her before on a few ad campaigns because she just wants to know about that. Melanie tries to tell Casey that she didn't know it was Corbett that she was kissing. Melanie tries to tell this to Casey, and just like the rest of us that are watching the show, Casey is like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, it's it's just ridiculous. Anaya and Sincere are also girlfriends in the villa, and Anaya tells Sincere how upset she is with Casey about his jokes, like when he said, I am blessed, because he had the red paint all over him. And Sincere tells her that Pink actually looks a lot like Casey's ex, which doesn't comfort Anaya at all. And then he says, but don't tell him that I told you that. He's like, you know what? Chin up, chin up. You know, keep that under your belt. Exactly. You keep that information. You don't say it. So she's like, don't tell him. Okay. Zach didn't know what closed off meant, I think, because he had told that to Kata kind of like the night before, that, you know what? I told him I was closed off. And she was like, closed. Y'all, I didn't know that term. I learned that term on Love Island. I learned it in season 2 when they'd say they're closed. I was like, what? What? So that's the only reason I even know that term, closed off. It's so weird to me, but it was either season 2, season 5. It was a big deal in season like 5. Closed off. I think it's such a strange term, but you know what? I'm apparently from an entirely different decade and era to everybody on this show right now. So I know that Zach is also from the UK, and they probably say it different there. So I think when he said that, he just meant like, yeah. And then I'm pretty sure the edit we didn't see was the guys telling Zach, you told Kata that you're closed off? Do you know what that means? And Zach was probably like, no, I don't. What do you mean? What do you mean? What does it mean? It means like we're closed off. It means I'm interested in her. And the guys are like, no, are you crazy? Closed off means that you're in a relationship. You know, we still have to go to Casa Amor. And then Zach was like, oh yeah, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's what I imagine happened behind the scenes, okay? Because Kata was so excited, right? And I just know that the guys are like, you can't tell her that. So now he decides to untell her. He decides to untell Kata what he said before about them being that he said they were closed off, and she was so happy. And now he's like, you know what? I didn't mean to say closed off. You know, it's only been a week. So I think I made a mistake by saying that. And you know what? I admire him for just being honest, you know? Kata's completely turned off, but you know what? Kata's like, yeah, okay, buddy. She's like, okay, no, cool. And then I just have a note here that this entire cast is as wishy-washy and back and forth as anything. And it's actually great TV. And this is actually how Love Island is supposed to be. Remember, I am not on the blogs, the vlogs, or reading any of the commentary. So I'm just giving you what I think about the show based on the show. Okay? So then Zach, after telling Kata that they're not closed off, he pulls Trixie for a chat, and they bond over Taylor Swift and Zayn, and they talk about girl pop bands. So last season, season 6, Zach sings, not Zach, Charlie sings, and I can't remember if he was in a boy band with his brother, Zach, but he actually has a really nice voice. I know that because I followed him since the show, and I posted about one of his songs. So come on, Charlie, don't keep that voice to yourself. So they were very boy bandy in the UK. I'm not sure if Zach was a part of that, but I'm gonna bet that he was. I haven't looked into Zach yet because I do my own type of thing, so I have to look into Zach. I'm trying not to hold Charlie against Zach. He definitely does have more personality than Charlie does. But that whole thing about the girl pop bands and him bonding over that, I was like, wow, that was such a deep conversation. Kata then is like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So then Kata goes to talk to the cowboy, and she tells him that his accent is cute, and this is cute, and what does that mean? And, there's not any sparks flying between Kata and Caleb. Sincere takes Pink, aka Saul, to talk to her early in the day, and they talk, and I believe they kissed there. I don't have it in my notes, but he definitely kissed her at some point. Casey and Anaya have a very quiet, calm fight down by the docks. Anaya is laying her heart on the line and telling him, oh my God, disclosing everything she feels. Okay, young ladies, I learned this years ago. I was 29. I lived in Philadelphia, and there was a couple. I'm trying to remember their name. They were at Freedom Theater where I did my residency, and they were like that older black couple. And their advice to me was make sure, and we always hear this, make sure that the guy loves you more. And I used to wonder why people said that, and they talked to me about it. He said, because when the guy loves the girl more, he really will do anything for her. Like, that is a better way, So I'm just watching all these women show all their weakness and all their cards to the guys, and I kind of don't get it. But when I was in my 20s, I was a mess too, so it's all right. This is what you do when you're in your early 20s and stuff. This is just how it is. So Anaya and Casey have the calmest fight ever. They're so cute. But she tells him what Sincere told her not to tell him, that Pink looks like his ex, but he's telling her, like, yeah, he's probably going to talk to her, like, but, basically, I'm here for you type thing. So they make up, but Anaya definitely has anxiety about this relationship. And one of the reasons for that is very much because there hasn't really been people there for her outside of Casey, and Sean could have been, but as I said, I think Sean being a father, that was it just wasn't working for anybody. Corbett, the Fonz, tries to act jealous or some strange thing with Kenzie. He's very zombie-ish in his delivery, and you can't tell. You can't tell if he does like Kenzie. I mean, he could surprise us all. He could really like her, but he also has no other options that he's willing to be interested in anyway. So he's telling Kenzie all this stuff, and Kenzie is actually so able to see right through him. Like I said before, nobody needs to worry about Kenzie or protect her. She's smart. She's been smart. When she first came on the show and she was so like giddy and excited and stuff, and I I was like, is this girl, how she, but no. Kenzie is, she actually is one of the women on the show that has the most sense when it comes to this stuff. Okay, mark my words, you heard it here. So he's talking to her, whatever, blah 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 on the phones, and she just like, yeah, okay, she doesn't fall for any of that stuff. Then it's time to get dressed for the night. Trinity's outfit is so dope. That's my note here. Gabrielle does what he does, so he has to talk to Trixie, aka Jen, but he doesn't want to talk. He just wants to talk about Brazil, Miami, Portuguese, teacher words, and then be like, can I kiss you? And then she's like, I like it when you grab my face. He just wants to kiss. That's it. That's his thing to say. Yes, I feel the energy. That's what he does. That's it. That's his line. Yes, Portuguese. Let me teach you some words. Let me kiss you. That's Gabriel's Mac. Gabriel's Mac all day. Anyway, Kenzie and the cowboy, aka Caleb, they talk, and he has that country accent. They even talk about Corbett a bit. They talk about farms and farm life and animals and pigs and stuff. And they talk about like she think pigs are dirty. And he's like, don't you eat ham? And then she's like, yeah, I guess so. But then they just talking about kids and pigs and the farm. And then, of course, they start kissing and they don't stop kissing. And that's what they do, because that's what they do on Love Island. They just kiss. Soul and Sincere are now up in the room. I can't remember what it's called, but they up in that room upstairs. It's not Soul Ties, but it's that other room. They're in that room and they're flirting and talking. And then, of course, they kiss while everyone is downstairs at the table, because, you know, this is when they're all dressed and stuff. And I noticed that Anaya was sitting on Casey's lap at one point. I also think that they had some color coordination going on, which was cute. But I am not parasocial like many of the fans. Like, I already told you, there's no couple on this show right now. Nobody. There is not one couple on this show right now. They're all at the beginning stages, and there's nobody where I see like, okay, this has potential. Sorry, y'all. Anyways, so they're flirting and kissing. Meanwhile, everyone's downstairs, and then Melanie basically wants to know. She's looking around like, where's Sincere? The people there are talking. Beatriz is like talking, keeping it real, about how Melanie is. Melanie and Sincere, and how, like, maybe they could be toxic. And Anaya's like, no, I think they're great together. Am I the only one? And everybody's like, yeah, Anaya, you're the only one that likes him as a couple. Everyone else is like, nah, we're not feeling them. So Sincere and Soul are up there, and he's talking to her about how he's never really wanted to believe in love at first sight, but, he knows that he wants to have a lot of chats with her. So they kiss again, and then the music and the edit, Melanie does actually come into the room, because I wasn't sure on the first look if that was real, because they like to play with us with the edits. So Melanie comes in, and it's the way it looks is like Soul got up, but it's editing. So Melanie does come in. Soul had left. Soul goes downstairs like nothing happened. Like, Soul goes downstairs with the rest of the group like I was just walking through the field of daisies, and I didn't just kiss Sincere. Hey, what's up, everybody? Meanwhile, Melanie comes in to do what she does best with Sincere, which is try to guilt trip him. And Saul's just downstairs being cool as a cucumber, because Saul's like, I know I got this boy on lock. And I've told you what is very interesting is Sincere does not Sincere, Soul, her age is undisclosed, and I find that so bizarre. So everybody else's age is disclosed. I think that Soul is 29. She has that older, mature vibe, you know. The other interesting thing too is when she talked to Sincere, she talked about having stress when her dad died and having kind of like anxiety, like grieve, almost alopecia, losing her hair, you know. And Sincere talks about his hair. It was it was very, what she said was so deep, you know. And what Sincere responded with wasn't. But Sincere is pretty young. He's pretty young for his age. Anyway, Melanie is there. I don't know. Melanie's now talking to Sincere, and he's spewing his stuff, his soup of wishy-washy stuff to Melanie. But he's honest about kissing Saul, aka Pink. He's honest at least. And then I just have here, I feel like Casa Amor is coming soon. I can never tell when it's going to happen. And then season 7 was so terrible that they couldn't do anything that you're supposed to do on the show because it was just, so I like the way this show is going because it actually feels natural. This actually feels to me a lot like season 2, like the first show that I watched, which is a good thing. But Casa Amor has to be coming soon. I have no idea how many episodes there are, or anything. I've been trying to understand that. I don't know. Anyways, Melanie's upset, of course, and guilt tripping. She guilt tripping and tripping with Sincere. And now the show ends where the audience has to vote for who the bombshells should couple up with. So, should Pink couple up with this one, this one? Should Trixie couple up with this one or this one? And should the cowboy? And the audience, I'm not reading any of the things on the pages, so I don't know. But I know that I know for a fact that flighty, the audience is flighty with, like, one thing can happen one day and they can all go off and be like, no, say no to Casey. And then the next they can be like, yes, say yes to Sean. I already know without looking at anything because I've been watching this show for years and I've watched when the audience changed. And that's why I'm not going on the pages because I don't even have to be on there to know what's happening, what the topic is. What I'm trying to guess is what the audience would vote for, but to me, they're definitely going to vote for the cowboy to have a date with Kenzie because it makes sense. They're going to vote for Saul to have a date with Sincere because I bet you they don't like Melanie. And they're going to vote for Trixie to have a date with Gabrielle, I guess. Who else is there? Who else could, did she even talk to Corbett? Anyway, not a lot of choices. I haven't talked much about Beatriz, but she also has been letting, Gabrielle know about her vulnerabilities, and she does do self-deprecating humor, and Melanie or somebody did check her on that, and I'm glad because, like I said, it's probably something she's had to learn to do, like on the come up, right? She's probably learned to be strong, to kind of make the joke before someone else does. But she's at a place where she's just accepted for who she is. And that's what I love about her on the show. So to the casting directors, I think you did a great job with this one, with not letting it be a focus. And Beatriz, she's so awesome. So I do hope that somebody comes in to match her athleticism. It's she and she thinks it's that she's not feminine. It's not, she's an athlete, So I hope that somebody comes in, that matches her cuz she deserves that, cuz she really hasn't had anybody. So That's how I feel. And that's it. I don't know how the fandom will vote, and I'm going to find out very soon. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, my think piece on Love Island USA, Season 8, Episode 7. Please, I'm going to tell you, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And just like last season, I was right about so many things, and I also stayed off the page. But my next thing, I am going to look into Jack, to just learn a bit more about him. And that's it. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. I hope you had a good cup of coffee, Java, hot chocolate, juice, or whatever to listen to this piece. Stay blessed. And that's what's up.
Ooh, Amani's vibe. Welcome to Amani's vibe. That's the space that I provide. Ooh, no negativity, no lies. Here is just positive